Hello all. Alright, here we are on another weekend. They seem to come one after another. When you're wishing for a day when everyone was somewhere else and you could be in the parks without the people. But that's not going to happen. The same goes for planned videos. You plan for one type of video and make the notes and stuff, and then something happens and you just have to throw that away and start over and come up with this latest catastrophe to hit the planet. And the latest one is the orange man here in the US. The orange balloon. One of the most hated presidents to ever exist other than George Bush. These two presidents. What a disaster on our planet. The orange barrage balloon has now pulled out of an arms treaty set up during the Obama administration. Obama at least knew that you better start somewhere with a treaty and try and eliminate selling weapons from one country to another. It's a start, you know. But no, Mr. Orange is going to protect the military-industrial complex at all cost, even if it costs a complete annihilation of our planet through a major war. But people, these are not smart decisions. Even a 2-year-old would know that pulling out of any of these arms control treaties is silly. We worked so hard to get them for so many years. He pulls out of them in a fit of tantrum. He thinks that if the government is going to come after him, he's going to go after the government. And that's exactly what's going on. But why? What's going on? Well, we'll find out here in a minute. You know what's so frustrating is that the Orange Man announced his pullout of this treaty, this arms treaty, at an NRA meeting, and everyone was cheering. You know, he could say he took a shit yesterday at 11 o'clock and he'd get huge amounts of cheers. Are these the dumbest people on the planet or what? Cheering the elimination of an arms control treaty? You mean you want endless arms to just escalate freely? Apparently this includes warships, warplanes, jets, missiles, the whole gambit. Who would cheer for that? Yeah, the orange supporter would cheer for that because they have been cued to cheer at that particular time, regardless of what he says. So what is causing all this insanity around the planet? Well, I looked this up because I knew there had to be a causation. There always is. Everything runs on science and is caused by a reason. Apparently, new study shows that algae blooms, especially the kind in Florida and in the Florida canals and around the beach areas where people live, apparently is toxic to humans. Both breathing it in and being around it or in it. It's extremely toxic. In fact, it's so toxic that it's linked to cancer of the liver and also is definitely connected to ALS, Alzheimer's. Now, the Orange Man spends most of his time outdoors in Florida, right there next to the water. So there was an autopsy taken of the people that died, and they found that Floridians have 300 times more toxic algae in their brains than people living outside of Florida. By the way, that 300, so it is now airborne because there's so much of it blowing around Florida and making its way into adjacent states. As the planet warms up, these algae blooms will get bigger and bigger. So people that live right there at the water's edge in Florida have 15 times more chances of getting ALS than people just 15 miles inland. Any questions? So there has been calls from mental experts around the world that Trump is a danger to us all and he needs to be impeached. But Nancy Pelosi is getting very old, and I'm not putting that against her, but she's having trouble doing two things at once, as is the case when you get older. You start to lose your mind, and no doubt she's lost hers because of this nonsense of no impeachment of the Orange Man. You're not even going to get to 2020 if you don't guys do something about this orange idiot pulling out of treaties. Now, I understand that it hadn't been implicated or even voted for. Still, treaties take so much time, money, effort, and when you finally get one, just in a temper tantrum, you pull out and have idiots applauding. Something else. Something else. It's so amazing. This insanity isn't new in higher places. Look how much money we spend on building facilities so that mostly males, they can play with balls in. And thousands of people will go watch. None of it makes much sense to me. But that's what I found. And that's what I think is causing all this chaos around the world and bad decision making. From one leader after another, pulling out of a treaty that controls how many arms are sold around the world. The world is jam-packed with arms. We can destroy this planet, 7 times, 10 times? I don't know what the number is anymore. We don't need a single new arms. Nothing. No tanks, no guns, no planes, nothing. The insanity. Your comment in the comment section. Last video, I was asked, where did you get the figure of 1,000 nuclear reactors? Well, it's not 1,000 power nuclear reactors for electricity. It's 1,000 nuclear, I just call them all reactors, such as in submarines and boats that the military has, and other scientific areas where you have tiny little places where you test and you open up all this can of worms of radiation, and then it has to be dealt with for thousands or even millions of years. In a million years, is somebody going to want to pay to take care of something that was put there a million years ago? People aren't thinking. Just no thinking. How bad are these algae blooms? So I appreciate all the ups and downs and the new subscribers, and until next time.